Hey guys, Coney here back with another Lost Sword video. Today we're going to be doing an updated guide on Morgan Le Fay, looking at her best build, teams, pets, cards, and basically just giving my overall thoughts on if she's worth your pulls, if she's bringing the wizard team back as I predicted in my last video, and just kind of giving like an updated thoughts with more testing behind it, because my initial video was just initial thoughts and this one's going to be more like substantial with testing I've done over the last pretty much whole day. I've been testing today and just giving my thoughts. And I'm also going to include my coupon code, which I received from the devs for 500 diamonds. That's going to be in the description and I'll mention it towards the end of the video. So first of all, let's go through her build. So you can see here we have actual numbers for her kit now. So you can see 150,000 percent for the attack scaling on her mark. So essentially that means she's never gonna you're never gonna hit the cap realistically, because you're going to be ulting every 30 seconds. And when you calculate this based on, I think it's based on her total attack, that's getting in the billions in terms of damage, and you're almost never going to hit that. So unless it's based off base attack, which could change the story, I think you don't need to worry about like saving ult for the whole fight. Just use your ult when you have it, because all the damage you're doing before your ult is going to be counting towards this mark. And based on the mark, which I think is the strongest part of a kit, which makes it insane for bosses, I think you should be prioritizing as much attack percent as possible from equipment. I'm currently testing if the Royal Cow Staff, which gives you the 10% magic attack here, could potentially eclipse the Thunderclap in terms of damage. So I will try and get more conclusive testing on that, because it's basically testing, is 10% attack on her more valuable than the passive effect and 15% crit? I'm not sure, probably not, but interesting thing to test. So as much attack percentage you can get from all the pieces. There is a new rune, I believe, which gives you 35% attack, and I think that's going to be her best in slot, because this unit loves attack. Specialties as well, you want as much attack as possible. I'm going to reroll these to try and get some purples and golds. And yeah, TLDR of her build, as much attack as you can get, the more the better. The more damage her stored, her mark does. So try and get as much of that as you can. And then looking at cards, I think a card is definitely a solid option. I would prioritize it lower than getting actual transcends and maybe awakening on her, because I think there are good alternatives. 110% attack is no joke, but I think, for example, Tiamat card could be really, really good on her. Could potentially be her best in slot. I need to do more testing on that, because it gives you the active skill damage increase, and she uses her active skill a lot because of the passive she has, I believe, on the actual skill, which reduces the cooldown of her active skill when she gets um when she uses it against one or more enemies. So when you tally these up, she's using her active skill a lot, and a card that boosts active skill damage is of course going to be solid. I think also Summer Mary's card could also be a solid option, because I believe that gives you ultimate skill damage, and her ult does a lot of damage. I don't think it affects the stored damage, but it is a very solid option. Gives you the magic attack, crit damage, and the ult skill damage increase. I think Merlin's card, even though it's usually a support card, could also be a good option, because it gives attack percent, 36%. So yeah, I think Wizards have some of the best card in the games, or best cards in the game. So definitely a lot of solid options. Escheria is not so much, because there aren't many bosses that heal. But yeah, I would say I think honestly Tiamat's is the best, then her own, and then maybe either Merlin's card or Summer Mary's card. And then looking at her best pets, let me just quickly back out here. Well, let me do teams first, since I'm already on the screen. You can see my raid score today, which this is the team I used. I didn't optimize it at all, because I don't have some of the things you need for it. Like I forgot to put on Lilith's card on my Galahad, for example. I didn't use red hair. I didn't use there's a new card which is on floor 60 of the Abyss, which I need to try and get as soon as possible, which is also going to be a big boost in power. But this is going to be the, I think, general formation she's going to like the most, where it's Galahad, which is a must-have, herself and a buffer, and then two more wizards. It could be supportive wizards, it could be DPS wizards. I think Asteria is also a very key part of the team. I was predicting in some of my previous videos that I think she's going to be she's going to be a unit that scales with wizards. Like once an insane, like a very strong wizard comes in, and I think that's kind of come true, because this debuff where they take an additional 25% damage when hit by a wizard, when you run multiple wizards as you're incentivized to do from Morgan's kit. I think the damage you can get with the wizard team has definitely brought it back into the fold in terms of competing with the melee team. And I think this is going to be the go-to in terms of most Morgan teams where you're running almost triple wizard, triple DPS, and a support, and then a Galahad. I think this slot is more flexible where I have my Eva. It could be Merlin, it could be Rat, or not Rat, it could be Tiamat, sorry. It could be Christina for the attack boost she gives. Almost any wizard is going to work. I think I used Eva specifically in this raid because she obviously she first of all she likes the reset that Morgan can give on active skills, so because it helps her stack easier. And then secondly, I think she's just an insane unit in raid because she can get 3 ults off in almost every raid. So very, very solid unit. And I think she's definitely best in slot for raids. Pet wise, I think Lehengrin pet is still king. You want to use it in almost every scenario. The attack speed is amazing, even for mages. A lot of attack percent, ignore damage reduction, additional damage. Great stats on it. I think Eva's pet can also be very good. You just need to be a little bit careful. It doesn't have as much attack percent, so maybe not as advised for Morgan in terms of a stat pet in the second and third slot. But I think with the skill, it could definitely be work as a lead pet if you don't have Lohengrin. I think also just pretty much any attack percent pet. I think her own pet is great for stats. It doesn't give attack percent, but it gives an insane amount. I think it's 100% crit damage at max, and the skill is also very good, 50% attack on a single ally. So if you are using Morgan and you're building her correctly, this buff should always be applied to her. And so that's 50% attack and 100 crit damage, and then another 10% additional damage at max. So it's a really, really good stat pet, good skill pet, and if you do have the pools, I would invest in it. But yeah, pretty much any attack pet works. I think lead pets definitely Lahengrin, Unleashed Eva, and Morgan herself. Her pet are probably the best three in terms of skills, in my opinion. But a lot of flexibility with pets. I think you can use any attack pet you have. High Transcend will work for you. So this was my updated review of Morgan, taking into account all the testing I've been doing. I would definitely say the Wizard team is for sure back. The damage is comparable, if not more, than the melee team now. I think she's a top 2 unit in the game alongside Belsi. I think you can definitely, if you're looking to push content in this game, get to the end game, get to end game PvE, I think you're gonna definitely want to invest in her. I would say if you have the summons, 100% worth the pulls because the damage she's brought to the table is something we haven't seen before. I think she's the top DPS in the game. Funny enough, I just did a DPS tier list where I crowned Lehengrin, and basically a week later, her crown's been snatched by Morgan. So unfortunate timing there, but 100% if you have the pulls, pull for Morgan. I think she's the best DPS in the game, as I mentioned. I showed you my raid score earlier where I didn't do any optimization. I didn't do any optimization, sorry, and I've ended up in the top 250. I think I can definitely push for top 200, maybe top 100 if I do a bit more playing around with teams. My star reincarnation score where I used Morgan in all 3 rounds. I'm currently ranked 68. I think I can definitely push up 5 billion if I do a bit more optimizing on the team there as well. But any piece of content you want to do, I've seen a lot of people doing Abyss guides where she's used on almost every floor. I think this unit is a must pull. If you have any or must pull if you have any plans of playing the Wizard team, because I don't think the Wizard team is good without her. So definitely pull if you have any plans on doing that. And then before I go, just to mention my coupon code, it's going to be Coven73915. That's all one, no spaces. Coven73915. Get your 500 diamonds. Thank you guys for watching. Take care and peace.